just welcoming you all, and whatever thoughts you have on your mind, we can discuss that. For me, it's a very long journey. We have traveled with many all Rwandans, and to an extent with the rest of the world that has been in one form or another connected with our country. For me, at a personal level, it's been a very tough but enjoyable journey, based on the fact that this is the best thing one can do, to be part of the many years of struggle to put things right for our country, for our people, for ourselves, all together. So it's 31 years is not really a long time, but depending on what has been happening in those 31 years, one may decide to see it differently. You may see it as almost something that goes over 100 years. But in other cases, you can be realistic and say it's actually 31, and 31 isn't very long. Considering the world we live in, I think some people live in worse situations than maybe ours, or have been there for even longer than those years we've been there. But anyway, I'm concerned more with my situation, because that's why I can make a contribution. For the rest of the world, those matters are beyond our control, some of us. So, on that note, you're welcome to, you can offload anything you want on me. I'll take it, and we can have a good conversation.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We will try to make this afternoon a bit more enjoyable for you. Let's proceed to the dialogue segment. I will invite each media representative in turn. Kindly state your name and media house that you represent before asking your question. We can have some microphones. Anyone? Okay. Just raise your hand and they'll bring a microphone to you. Thank you.
Happy Liberation Day, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to offload. Yes, there was a peace deal that was signed in the US not long ago, Your Excellency, and we're talking about a potential Washington Accord that is upcoming. But I'll take you back to when the peace deal was signed between Rwanda and DRC. Immediately after that peace deal was signed, President Trump of the US said that he had secured a minerals deal for the US. Shortly afterwards, the former DRC President Joseph Kabila on social media dismissed the peace deal aspect and referred to what was signed as a trade agreement. Some people think that the Trump administration does not understand the situation in Eastern DRC very well. What is your comment about that, and what do you say to those who call Trump's approach exploitative in comparison to the Biden administration? That's the question, Your Excellency. My name is Jackie Lumbasi. I host the Real Talk on RTV.
Good. Well, I would start by asking simple questions. Before the deal brokered by United States in the Trump administration, whatever name you may want to give it, what did other administrations, whether in the United States or Europe or anywhere else, did they offer? What is it? I mean, we could be talking about something. Let's talk about it. Before we come to Trump administration and the deal brokered, you're a journalist, you follow different events and the news and so on, you put things in their perspective, in history and so on and so forth. Make a reference, well, even if you don't make it to me now, but in your mind, try to remember what other deals that had been brokered by anybody that were even suitable to deal with the problem in DRC, that may be failed because of this or that, and you may put the blame on anybody you wish to. So my question is, where is that? Therefore, if there isn't, maybe you can even go into more details later. Trump administration came. First of all, I thank them that they even paid attention to the problem at all. They could have ignored that problem like many have, and just focused on what is happening in the Middle East, in Ukraine, Russia, Iran, and those are, in people's minds, more important than having to deal with this African problem. Yeah, it shouldn't matter to anybody, as we have seen it in the past. So, but they took time. Now, I'll try to summarize what my reading of that deal is and how it came about. Once they decided they are going to deal with the matter, there are really three pillars it is built on. One is economic, if you will. The other is security. The other is political. And I think these three are so closely related that you can't just deal with one ignoring the other, because the three are part of the problem. In fact, the main parts of the problem. Now, people tend to concentrate more on economic for a reason. I think some of the players in the region were concerned with the problem. They had in their mind to leverage these resources because they think the resources are very attractive. So therefore they would, like throwing a bait, and saying, I'll give you this, I'll give you so you control this, which everybody is, in the world needs and may. So I'll give it to you. But those who threw the bait to those who would help in the problem, we're really not looking for a durable solution to their problems or to the problems that affect us in the region. They just wanted to have an advantage over adversaries and give a sweetener to people to say, we'll give you this, please help us deal with M23 and FCM23 or Rwanda as it is perceived, or our enemies. And that then people would just be attracted to that, take it, and address the problem the way the government of Congo saw it. No, but the Trump administration kept looking at a combination of these three matters that need to be addressed: the political, the security, and the economic. While in some other people's minds, it was just economic. You want a deal, you want money, you want minerals, you want please take it, and save us from these troublemakers, even if it doesn't address the problem, depending on how they see it. So I'm sure that is what is still affecting, and maybe will affect, the implementation. Because what people had in mind is not necessarily 100% what they are getting. But in addressing any problem like this one, it's give and take. You don't get 100% what you want, because there are many parties concerned with the problem. Each one maybe gets a piece of what they wanted, another gets a piece of what they wanted, and together stability comes out of it. So for me, I think there is a chance that we may get somewhere with that. And why I asked the previous question, the other question about the previous handling, the different administrations handled this matter, it was like actually there was less caring for how to deal with this matter than we have now. Because for them it will just be, M23, sanctions, Rwanda, and that's it. But how do you handle things like this and expect? I don't think they have even learned from history. In fact, it is the same people also who failed in those years that, and now because we talk to many of them, it's like, yeah, but what do you think about this Trump thing? We see, but, and it's like they don't even hide the fact that they are disappointed because they are not at the center of it. It's like, what do we have? For us, what do we have in it? And I tell them, but that's none of my business. You were here all these years doing nothing except doing the wrong thing. Because I asked some of them, when you really went all out and were sanctioning Rwanda, sanctioning M23, praising the other side, and then vague about Fdlr, and what did you really think you were doing that would address the problem? So why would you be asking me anything? You should have asked me that time. You did, I explained to you, you didn't listen to me. You decided to do things the way you wanted because you thought... and in fact, I also don't stop reminding them that actually they are part of the problem. The main part of the problem of this Congo situation is external, in actual fact. Look at the UN presence in Congo. How many years has it been there now? So, and I keep asking people, you sat long ago and decided to create this mission. You did. But it's a couple of decades it's been there. You never take stock of what you achieved, what you are doing there. But you keep running with the machine, keeps going. Second, coupled with that, if you look at, you have heard of something called the group of experts who tell the stories of what's happening on the ground, who are supposed to guide some of the actions and so on and so forth. The expertise they provide, the reports they write, actually do not have anything to do with the situation itself. These reports were written long ago, when they were being given the mission. So they just come to make sure that everything conforms to that as of origin. Because that's why you always find it's all others guilty in this situation of different things, except the actual perpetrators. You will never find they write anything comprehensively about Fdlr. You will never find they write anything comprehensively about how government institutions are connected with Fdlr in spreading hate ideology, genocide ideology. Things that are then done in broad daylight for everybody to see. So you wonder how experts cannot see that. But all the reports, 75%, it's blame on AFCM23 and Rwanda. And they're always tight because there's a Rwanda-backed M23. You will tell me in your research, if you ever saw anywhere DRC-backed Fdlr, you will never. So the narrative is already written. They just come here to make sure things are adjusted to suit what they want. They talk about minerals as the center of the whole problem. By the way, they should also blame themselves Because if you highlight minerals, and then later on you blame somebody for also saying, yes, we have a deal in minerals, but around that we want to solve a problem. Because they are the ones who highlighted the minerals in the first place. So how do they blame Trump administration for saying we got a big deal on minerals? Yeah, but you made the minerals the issue. You, the people who are blaming everybody, including blaming Trump administration. But the way they used that, it was like Rwanda is just in Congo doing whatever, supporting M23, or even the existence of M23 is about minerals, according to them. So they keep playing, even overplaying this narrative. In the end, it works to the detriment of the solution to the problem. Now, it really becomes like, it's like having arsonists being the judge and the prosecutor of people for burning down the house. The very ones who burnt down the house are the ones in the seat to judge, to prosecute, and everything. This is what happened. So some people oversimplify this matter, and take it just to the surface. It's about blaming FCM23, Rwanda, former president of DRC, you mentioned. By the way, do you know that maybe, I don't know why you should never forget things conveniently. You know how the current president came to be president? He was just called to the office, and this man thought he was making a good deal, and they handed him power. Do you also know that actually there were witnesses, heads of state? Did you know that? One of them being the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta. The other one being the president of Egypt, Sisi. The other one being President Ramaphosa of South Africa. You ask to go and visit them and ask them this question. So this whole thing, you see, no, I wish they could actually come forward and say, hey, wait a minute, by the way, we know this story. the story, and the other thing is, you also know that Rwanda being blamed for M23, FCM23, Eastern Congo, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Fine. You can blame us for doing whatever we could to make sure Fdlr doesn't cause Rwanda problems, and whoever was supporting that. But you cannot blame us for the start of this conflict, because everybody knows where this conflict started from and by who, and it is nothing to do with one. This M23, I have said it before, came from Uganda. They did not come from here. Why was it not made Uganda's problem? Are these things I'm talking about new to you? You don't know them? But the story goes out there, it's every day, Rwanda, M23, Rwanda, FD. Yes, but you should also tell people how this became Rwanda's problem. Our problem was simple, twofold. Fdlr it has been a problem in the past. It's a problem now. It will be a problem in the future if it continues to exist, threatening Rwanda. There is no way. We don't, as I again said before, we don't need anybody's permission to protect our country. It doesn't matter. So that one put aside. The other one is this Congo uprooting its own people from their ancestral homes and from wherever, and Rwanda has nothing to do with how Kinyarwanda speaking people went to Congo. Nothing. We cannot be blamed for it. But they've been killing people in broad daylight. They've been removing them from their homes and making them refugees here. You know how many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people originating from there who are refugees here. So the fact that we are hosting these people, the fact that we are saying we can't accept Fdlr, is it a problem that Rwanda should be blamed for? Is it a complicated problem that groups of experts cannot see? So I've given you a very wide explanation to the very simple question you asked. Whatever solution that does not address these important matters to be addressed will just keep the problems between Rwanda, DRC, the whole region, and wherever else going forever. But the matter is simple. If you don't play games, if you don't allow genocide ideology to take over the region, and then things can be addressed. So for me, I'm thankful to President Trump's decision. And by the way, even if it doesn't work, I don't think they should be the ones to be blamed. They are not the ones to blame. Because in the end, they are not the ones to implement what we have agreed. They just brought people together concerned with the problem, and they've introduced a new way of approaching this problem, which has not been forthcoming from others. And so here, it's our job, it's our task for us in the region to implement that, or DRC or Rwanda to implement their part of the bargain in the agreement. But of course, it helps if the United States administration remains close by to follow up and says to people, well, you said you would do this, what happened? They have some leverage over the matter. So I think I have, I did it so broadly to preempt other questions related coming. Yes, okay.
Thank you. So we could have light, and then we'll come this way. There's another mic.
Oh. Thank you, Mr. President, for having us. Thank you, sir. I have a question with two parts. The first part is the deal between Rwanda and DRC. about joint security measures and removing FDLR. What is the promises have you received to achieve this? And then the second part is what steps will Rwanda take if the FDLR is not removing?
Yeah, let me add something, but I'll come to it, your question, which by the way, the deal we reached in Washington, D.C. does not stand in isolation. That one was mainly between Rwanda and DRC. Equally important, there is another deal ongoing that concerns the internal groups of Congo, FCM23 and the government, and maybe I don't know where else they will involve, that is being discussed and brokered in and by Qatar, the state of Qatar. You remember the story when I met with President Tshisekedi in Qatar, in Doha, and it originates from there. So these are two sides of really the same coin. So internal matters, so that, and the reason was to avoid the confusion that had been created over years and which nobody was addressing. Congo was always trying to make this problem only a problem between Rwanda and DRC. But there is a bigger component that is DRC's problem, not anything to do with Rwanda. So that's why, in fact, that Qatar effort will look at it broadly between AFCM23 and DRC, in my view, and maybe by extension, because that is the political side now. I said three things: political, economic, and security. So the political is actually mainly internal, so that it doesn't continue to produce these problems that where you deny people their citizenship, or like the other side, you hand over power to somebody and runs with it, and later on, last time we had elections, so-called, but no elections really happened. It was just a continuation of the thing that was handed to the man, and he just keeps running with it. But that's another story. So, and I'm reminded by what you just brought up. As I said, we reached an agreement in Washington, D.C., but it is not up to Washington to implement it. It's those who reach the agreement there to actually be the ones to implement what they agreed. And we have also seen in the whole history of this matter that people really don't necessarily do things according to what they agreed they are going to do. That's a lesson we have learned over many years. So if Fdlr is not dealt with, and we have set out the way to deal with it in the agreement, then that means the Fdlr continues to be there, and the problem continues to be there. And Rwanda will always do what it has to do when Fdlr is along our border. there is no magic wand here to be used by anybody. It's you have just to do what is right to do to deal with the matter. So for us, we have this obligation, and we have laid our case, and out of that, we have agreed to do a number of things to deal with, and do it together with others, and we will do that. You will never find Rwanda at fault with implementing what we have agreed to do. You will never. But if we decide we are working with plays tricks and takes us back to the problem, then we deal with the problem like you have been dealing with it. There are no two ways about it. But we are serious, we are honest, we look forward to implementing what we agreed to do and to eliminate the problem.
Thank you. Since Maurice has a microphone, we'll agenda next.
Murakoze nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, nitwa Ufitine Maremi Maurice, ndi umunyamakuru wa RPA. Mu kiganiro n'abanyamakuru cyo kuwa 9 Mutarama, mwaragize muti iki kibazo cyakabaye cyarakemutse kera iyo abantu bakirebera mu mizi yacyo batagiye gucengacengana. Ni ku ruhe rwego mubona aya masezerano ya Washington areba ikibazo agihereye mu mizi, ese muyafitiye ikizere kingana gute? Murakoze.
Yabona bisobanuye n'ubwo nabivuze mu Cyongereza mbere, amasezerano yarahari. Mu masezerano hari ibyo aba yashinzwe bemera gukora buri umwe ku giti cye cyangwa se gukorana hamwe. Ntabwo rero iteka abantu bose bakoresha ukuri cyangwa bavugisha ukuri no mu byo bemeye ku mugaragaro, ariko navuga ko ku ruhande rw'u Rwanda tuzakora ibyo twemeye uko bishoboka, ariko bimwe bihera ku byo abandi bakora nabo twemeranyije. Iyo badakoze ibyo twemeranyije, ubwo birumvikana ko bifite ingaruka ku byo natwe tugomba gukora, kuko twemeye kubikora kandi tuzabikora ari uko n'abandi buzuza uruhande rwabo. Rero kandi ibi nibidakora tuzakomeza dushakisha inzira iyo ari yo yose. Igihe inzira itaraboneka yo gukemura ibibazo uko bikwiriye kuba bikemuka, u Rwanda narwo ruzakomeza gukora ibishoboka byose kugira ngo rurinde abanyarwanda, rurinde igihugu aho kubura umutekano bitewe n'uko abandi twumvikanye batuzuza ibyabo byangombwa. Ibyo rero ni uguhora abantu bashakisha uburyo, nibyo tuzakora, nibyo twebwe tureba imbere yacu.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Lionel Ditavidier. I work for the Pan-African Review. Since we are on the topic of Congo, in 2012, during Umushikirano, you gave a speech in which you criticized powerful countries, mainly Western powers, for scapegoating Rwanda, imposing sanctions in an attempt to reshape our region to their liking. You even mentioned that they considered us as sheep to be,
slaughtered,
yes.
Whatever.
So you used Rwandans to be self-reliant. You used the term which has deeper meaning, I think, kwigira, and to ensure that they will never again be made to carry the blame for crimes committed by others. So my question is, more than a decade later, how close has Rwanda come to achieving the kind of self-reliance you envisioned?
Yeah, for one, I can account for everything you ask me to account for. What I can't account for is what others have been doing, because those 13 years ago and what I said, Rwanda has constantly been changing. But those powerful countries and how they see us, or maybe see other Africans, has really not changed. It's the same story, and it is what I've just been talking about. They still don't care. Not only do they not care, they actually want to stop you caring for yourself. That's the biggest problem. But for Rwanda, the progress we have made, and especially of taking care of ourselves, I mean, the story speaks for itself. Do you know that, by the way, with Eastern Congo, just before the fall of Goma and Bukavu and the other parts, what had been assembled by government and those they called their allies and so on and so forth, assembled in numbers of people, men and women, assembled in weaponry, assembled in terms of mobilizing even support of other countries politically, support that, you would not believe it. But what happened, and you know it, and you saw it. It was Rwanda saying it won't happen here again. That just doesn't come anyhow. You have to have made progress on many fronts to be able to stand for yourself and respond to all the things that are brought your way to destroy you. So I think that story may speak for itself for many years. If we hadn't been building the unity of purpose, the strength to preserve ourselves and live, this Rwandan cannot live on the whims of others. No. It happened, and I've told you even this last year's April, it happened once. It will never happen again. Once was too many times. For the second one, somebody else will pay for it. They will be the ones to go. They will be the ones to perish, not Rwanda again. That one, take it from, I have repeated it. It's not bragging, it's not, it's an act of survival. We don't owe our living to anyone. Never will it happen again.
Your Excellency, may we take a short break and come back for the next segment of this conversation?
Let's take one and then...
One more? Okay, Anangwe? And then...
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Eugene Anangwe. I'm the CEO and founder of East Africa Media Group. We do a lot of mentorship and training for media to just change the narrative about media in Rwanda and the region. I'll start first of all by saying thank you for the work you did and all the gallant soldiers to give us a country. I would like to move us away a bit from the DRC conversation and bring it back to 31 years ago. Before the liberation struggle, there was your personal story, the convictions, the thing that made you feel like I need to rise up and fight for my country. And Mr. President, I want to invite you to download the Untold, those moments that you remember today, and when you look back, you say, this was a worthwhile fight for my country. Maybe let's start there, and then we can continue later.
Yeah, that's a bit complicated, but I'll try. At the beginning, when I was talking about this whole 31 years being a tough but enjoyable story, I meant the tough side was what was confronted and dealt with, being of such a magnitude that for the half-hearted, they would just collapse under the weight of it first day. But fortunately, we had many people who were up to the task and who were ready and able to give it all, because it meant everything to them. When something means everything to you, then you give everything to make sure it is in good hands. It was tough. That one, no question, and no need to. There is no way of emphasizing it. The enjoyable part I'm talking about, even on the tough situation, is understanding the story itself, where you are coming from and where you are going, and then finding yourself in the middle of it, being one among many to be looked up to deal with such a tough travel, such a tough journey. It gives a sense of pride, inspiration, really something that is worth being associated with. And when you are there, but also you approach it with a sense that it doesn't end there. The story doesn't end there. What comes out in the end must reflect that difference between what you really fought against and what you are creating. They have to be different. You can't fight against a bad thing and end up with a bad thing yourself, because it would be such a waste of life, even in personal terms. So for me, personal, there are things I can explain, there are other things I can't explain. I cannot explain why in a situation like this that we can explain how, even if you explain the magnitude of it, and those many people I talked about who were ready to give all they had, and they did, many of them are no longer with us. But their names, their stories live on. Their bravery lives with us. But at the same time, I cannot explain why in that whole journey, one is no longer with us and the others are still with us. Yet all of us were exposed to the same danger. I don't think those who are still lucky like me to still be alive, I cannot account for why I'm still alive. I could have easily gone the way of the others who didn't make it. Therefore, it can't be, there is no one who can get praised for being alive, because it has nothing to do with you. It just happened. Not because you are smarter or more brave or no, just happened. So that one I can't account for, I can't explain. I can only explain what I do when I'm there. And in fact, some of those who sacrificed are no longer alive. We remember them, we honor them, we respect them for what they know they were, what we know they were associated with, or they did when they are still there. It's the same thing even when they are gone. Yes, these are the people we know because of those things they did. So for my personal stories, you can take it the way you want. Some of the things I'm not responsible for. But others I'm responsible for. Maybe those ones are the ones you can judge the way you want. So that's my personal story.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May we take a short break and come back for the second segment?
All right.
Thank you.
In a few moments, we find you ready.